How nicely it sets up this clash in Scotland's capital city. It's Scotland against Wales at Murrayfield. Well, you got the scene there, plenty of snow around. This the second of three matches on the second weekend. You may have already watched England restore something of their damaged pride at Twickenham with that 41-18 win against Italy. That's their 29th straight Six Nations defeat. Well, this is how the championship table looks going into our match, with whoever wins going top, at least for the next 24 hours or so. The third match of the weekend is tomorrow. France, the visitors in Dublin. Well, Wayne Pivac endured what must have felt like the longest day last Sunday. Wales holding out against 14-man Ireland, but then only just. As for Gregor Townsend, well, never victorious as a player at Twickenham in the Calcutta Cup, but last week as national coach he finally got to scratch away a 38-year Scottish itch, and there are one or two landmarks that Scotland will be hoping to brush away from the record books again today, with what they hope will be a second straight win at the start of this Guinness Six Nations. And let's be frank, that hasn't happened. Well, it hasn't happened before in the Six Nations. Well, Six Nations wins against Ireland never come easy for Wales, even when they're down to 14 for most of the match. But despite all the rough edges exposed last week, what mattered most to Wales was getting the result. There's the captain, Alan Wynne-Jones, who stretches his world record, his individual world record, if you like, today, earning his 145th cap for Wales. Lewis Rees-Zammit, try scorer against Ireland, and what a crucial score that was in the final analysis. And Liam Williams, well, we'll talk plenty today about players who are missing. Liam Williams is one of those who's on the way back. So Wales left out there just to wait in what are literally freezing temperatures. You'll have seen the aerial shot from the drone up there showing that there's plenty of snow on the periphery of Murrayfield. It's several inches deep. We had snow in the air about an hour ago, and there is quite genuine talk of players getting water bottles at some point, hot water bottles that is, at some point today. So here come the Scots. How many times in the aftermath of magnificence and euphoria is that performance followed by one that is rather more mediocre? Well, Gregor Townsend will be fully aware of that, bringing his squad back to earth before building them up again to another physical and psychological peak will have been his mission this week. This, the first of three home games Scotland have in this year's championship. Ireland and Italy also due to come here. A trip to Paris, their only remaining away day. Well, that is a picture which pretty much sums up what things are like here. Well, the teams shall now gather for the anthems. There's no formal presentation of teams, but first of all, as we saw at all three matches last weekend, the players stand together in collective solidarity and support of rugby's unity against racism.
The board is launches rugby, which is to extend our condolences to all who have lost loved ones during the coronavirus pandemic. We pay tribute to the tireless dedication of all staff within the NHS and social care sector and frontline workers elsewhere. We also stand as Rugby united against racism. Racism and any form of discrimination is not acceptable in rugby or in the world we live in. Now, the national anthems, beginning with Wales.
Well, Wales may well have been battered and bruised last week, but they come here having claimed a notable scalp. Well, it's an awfully long time since Scotland opened rugby's greatest championship with 2 wins. They'll never have a better opportunity than this. Although Wales have monopolised the talk about injuries ahead of this match, Scotland have had bumps and bruises of their own to contend with. Jamie Ritchie is missing from the pack. His place on the blindside flank goes to Blade Thompson. 2 alterations to the back line, both forced by injury. Cameron Redpath, a revelation on debut in the Calcutta Cup, is unfit. James Lang takes his place at 12. Sean Maitland is also missing. So in comes Darcy Graham on the right wing. The good news for Wales is that the front 5, which got the job done against Ireland, remains intact. Aaron Wainwright comes in on the blindside flank after injuries to Dan Lydiate, Josh Navidi, and in training this week to Josh McLeod. 4 alterations to the back line, 2 centres, the scrum half and a wing all ruled out because of injury. In come Liam Williams, who was suspended last week. Gareth Davis wears 9. Nick Tompkins and Owen Watkin paired in the midfield. Well, Scotland 16 to 23 is as it is, or as it was, I should say, for the trip to Twickenham. Wales include James Botham and Willis Halaholo, who could well make his Test debut. Well, we're almost set to go. Welcome wherever you're watching in the world. I'm Martin Gillingham. Alongside me and well and truly back to earth after last week's events down in London, the former Scotland scrum half. Good afternoon, Rory Lawson.
Yeah, good afternoon, Martin. 2 of the 3 winners from round 1 in action here at BT Murrayfield, and we have a cracker in store. Conditions pretty good overhead after some snow showers earlier on in the day, but both sides seemingly on an upward trajectory. Wales responding well to being written off in certain corners of the media down in their homeland, and Scotland returning north rampant with the silverware in the shape of the Calcutta Cup after an epic performance last week. So 2 sides with lots of form coming into today.
Well, there's the referee, Matthew Carley from England. His assistants, Pascal Gauzer and Andrea Perardi from Italy. The television match official, Carl Dixon. So we're all set to go. The team's in their traditional colours. Finn Russell gets us underway, and that's a high-hanging start. And it's gone forward. Well, it appeared to go forward, but Justin Tipuric was wise to that, and he snaffled up possession. Well, there's Russell.
Stay. Thank you.
Well, history's only worth so much, Rory, but Wales have got a history of getting off to fast starts at Murrayfield. They've led at half-time on each of the last 6 visits here and taken it through to victory in 5 of them. Johan van der Merwe just doing a bit of fumbling, so Scotland, to avoid reproducing history or playing their part in it, know that they have to really hit the ground running.
Yeah, of course, confidence, but in amongst it, the caution for Scotland, understanding 6 of the last 7 matches that Wales have come to BT Murrayfield for, they've left with the spoils. So Gregor Townsend, very clear with his players on Sunday, Monday, while reviewing the Calcutta Cup match last week, that they must wipe the slate clean, start again, take everything good from it, but also be aware of where they can improve in this week's performance. And ultimately, the first quarter of that victory at Twickenham set the tone. They put England under pressure. They forced the hosts into 4 penalties in the opening 5 minutes and managed to build themselves into the game.
Now that John Dial, the forwards coach, has been getting, the Scotland forwards coach has been getting a lot of love this week.
Straight to the floor.
The way he's improved things in up front, particularly in that front 5, but there you go.
You've got to start higher, okay?
I put the curse on them. Xander Fagerson, a little bit of a smile, the penalty going the way of Wales.
Well, Matt Carley setting his stall out early and just saying you have to start higher. His shoulder level just dropped, and it's often the race to the deck that we spoke about last week, Martin, isn't it? And I think Xander Fagerson, they're not painting the right picture. He went to ground first under the pressure of last week's man of the match, Wyn Jones.
Well, that was grabbed by Hamish Watson. There's the kick ahead. Well, Lee Halfpenny read that wonderfully and took it even better. There's no more difficult a catch than the one that's coming over your shoulder.
All the experience in the world from Halfpenny. Saw the turnover. He was up in the line to attack for Wales. Finn Russell got the ball in his hands quite early, but no, there are very few people in the world game that cover the backfield as well as Lee Halfpenny.
So hog on to Russell. Russell waves his magic wand and takes the relatively straightforward option of the high ball, and Halfpenny claimed it. He's had a good start as Halfpenny, starting at full back again with Liam Williams coming in on the wing.
Wrong side. I called him more, he came round.
The penalty against the other Fagerson brother, so they've chalked up one apiece on the part of Scotland. Matt Fagerson this time.
Yeah, Matt Fagerson, really impressive performance last week there. Just he came in from the side of the maul, and Matt Carley, eagle-eyed there. It's very often an area that referees miss out on. When a maul is called, anybody joining that area has to come from the back through the gate, and often they manage to join the maul and get away with it. But on that occasion, Matt Fagerson pinged for coming in the side, and it's set up a really good field position. You see there, coming the 2 second rowers, Cummings and Gray doing a fine job, and then Matt Fagerson from the far side there joining them all. The big number 8 would have been there to be seen on the back of his jersey, and Matt Carley gives the penalty. Dan Biggar has probed one deep into Scotland's 22 now, and fantastic attacking platform for the visitors early on in this match.
I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point. It's quite a contest between the 2 fly halves. Here goes Talupi Faletau. Many of us haven't had much fun in the last 12 months, but Faletau has restored his international reputation. When he started last season, Six Nations, he hadn't played a test match for a year. There goes Lee Halfpenny.
Good shot, James Lang.
Gareth Davis. Preferred at 9 today. Remember, Thomas Williams hurt himself, the hamstring. That's why he was unavailable. The ball's gone backwards, and Thomas Francis has done the mopping up. Here's Davis, back to Tipuric. A couple of grabs, he'll need to get those fingers warm, but typically what a step there from the Wales 7. He had another grand performance last week against Ireland. That is the Scotland 22, you can see. Here's Aaron Wainwright.
Away now.
Gareth Davis, Faletau. This is the sort of start we tend to associate with Wales at Murrayfield. They have the field position now. Can they make something of it? Davis fires the pass out, Biggar on his tiptoes. Johnny Gray, another tackle. Now he's lifted his game since moving down to the Gallagher Premiership.
13 blue offside, penalty advantage.
Wales have the chance of 3 points.
Release 8, move.
So it's a shot to nothing. Oh, and
Offside, 13.
always be wary of getting a loose head prop in the way.
Dan Biggar, I picked up on the ref mic from
13
about
blue
15
offside.
metres away, shouting,
13.
get out the way, Wyn Jones there, just getting in the way of the 9-10 pass. I think Biggar dropped back in the pocket, I think, for a drop goal to be able to
Kick.
try and get the scoreboard ticking.
Kick it
Chris Harris, you saw his body language when Matt Carley said 13 blue offside penalty advantage, because Scotland were seemingly in control, absorbing the attacks, and the defensive shape was being held. He jumped a little bit off the line as Gareth Davis put his hands on and got ahead of his line unnecessarily. Steve Tandy, there he is in shot, has made a wonderful impact here with the Scotland squad in building that defence. That's one that will frustrate him.
Yes, I guess he's the double agent, really, isn't he, the Welshman, who's done so much for Scottish rugby since arriving in Murrayfield or up at Edinburgh. Wyn Jones getting in the way there, but he built up a fair amount of credit last week.
Certainly did. He had a monumental performance.
Lee Halfpenny doesn't miss many. And Wales on the board. They lead by 3 points to 0. 95th cap for Lee Halfpenny. George North among the absentees, was hoping to make his 100th appearance, and well, depending on injury and selection, every chance that Lee Halfpenny will celebrate 100 sometime over the course of this calendar year. And Wainwright, well, they're tough to get in a warm bathroom.
Your starting height with your head too low.
He's trying to do that
Up a
in
little
sub-zero temperatures with cold hands and no doubt fingers that are quivering. You can do well without it.
Absolutely. I think they'll be warmer down on the field charging around than we are up here, Martin, deep in the west stand looking down. But yeah, it's given everybody the opportunity just to catch breath. Well, Wales deserving of that opening 3 points. They've had the lion's share of possession, the lion's share of territory, and they've taken the first opportunity offered to them.
The vanity mirror, all part of a physio's kit bag.
Backwards off red, play on. He's inside. Stay on, stay on.
Here's Ken Owens,
Still
who made
inside,
his
still
return to
inside.
Test rugby last week after missing the Autumn Nations Cup.
No,
Dan
no,
Biggar's
stop.
taken a little bit of a bump,
Thank you.
just securing that possession, just feeling his shoulder.
Timing.
Well,
in the
that
air.
was the
Just
same as
penalty.
last week. Matt Fagerson, they got the penalty here at Scotland.
Second time after the tackle, just timing on the in the air.
Strong there from
No
Matt
advantage, he
Fagerson.
got back up after
Really
the tackle.
impressive last week. And very, very keen to nail
timing.
down this number 8 jersey. Obviously, it's been passed around a little bit. Nobody stepping up and grabbing a hold of it. But Fagerson, arguably his best performance in a Scotland jersey last week. Just the timing there from Lewis
For
Rees-Zammit,
you there.
taking
Yeah, you're
Fagerson in the air. And you just see the big right-handed fend. That's a lot of meat to hand off there in the shape of Wyn Jones.
Well, he made his debut
okay.
for Scotland as a teenager, just the
What's
third
the arm, please, guys?
teenager in the professional era
Stay
to
now,
play for
Wales.
Scotland. And given the other two, Stuart Hogg and Johnny
Some more.
Gray, you suggest this man has a long and successful Test career ahead of him.
Stay there,
There's
Paul,
another
don't
of the
move
success
now.
stories from last week. George Turner, the ball tucked underneath his arm. Ali Price wants it. Duan van der Merwe. Well, going high there was Owen Watkin, Duhan van der Merwe, one of the Lions bolters perhaps in this Scotland squad. 6 metres out now. Can they make it count? That is Xander Fagerson. Penalty advantage now for Scotland, so they will have a chance of tying things up. They want to get more here. Here's Price. Price swings it out. Russell with the attempt at the grubber through. Halfpenny seals it off. Duhan van der Merwe gets a push in the back.
Not rolling away at the first tackle.
I'll be wary of picking on Duhan. He's a big lad.
Not available at the speed
It certainly is very difficult to take down.
You land the wrong side, you know the consequence.
Good job by the Welsh defence there, but Alan Wynne-Jones got caught in that tackle area, not out of that in and around the ball quick enough. And referees so quick to penalise in that area. There he is, just on the Scotland side. He's got to get out there quicker, even though the ball's there for Ali Price. He's painting the wrong picture.
Decision. Kick it, go. Stand the line, guys, please. Thank you.
Well, the decision appeared to take a bit of a while, but they are going to go for the 3 points. Let's just talk a bit about Duhan van der Merwe. A lot of criticism inevitably about this apparent recruitment process from the Southern Hemisphere, but we must be a little philosophical and look at the world. The world's changed over the course of the last 10, 15, 20 years, and
On your side.
the transition of people across the globe is happening in all spheres.
Yeah, it certainly has. And he was signed from Montpellier, whereby he was surplus to requirements. He went and had a good shift there, but only a couple of games.
That's right, it's absolutely spot on.
Yeah, and ultimately Scotland saw something in him. And, you know, now they're seeing the reward, I suppose, for signing him and taking a little bit of a punt on a young man who was short of rugby and short of opportunity. He's come up here, done a phenomenal job at Edinburgh. He is arguably the form winger in European rugby. So dangerous when he gets his hands on the ball, and he seized his opportunity in the blue of Scotland.
Well, that's Blade Thompson, a man who also has overseas origins. That's absolutely right with Duhan van der Merwe. South Africa had first dibs. You can say that France had second, and nobody else seemed to want him. Scotland very sharp in that respect. Here's Justin Tipuric. Davis onto Biggar, quickly through the hands. Bear in mind, it's an entirely new midfield partnership for Wales after those injuries last week. 7 players injured either during or since last weekend's win against Ireland.
You're in front of the kick. Thank you.
Excellent cross kick from Biggar, finds Lewis Rees-Zammit. He gets a big bear hug there from Duhan van der Merwe. Chris Harris holding him up.
Stay on.
Biggar on there to Thomas Francis.
Scotland need to be a little bit careful jumping off the defensive line.
Nick Tompkins back in the starting 15. Look there, Hamish Watson. He surrounded his Tompkins.
It's an outstanding piece of defensive work, initially with Hamish Watson and then from his 2 second-row pals to come in. And it's fair to say that we're all missing a big physical hug, but I'm not sure Nick Tompkins particularly enjoyed that one during these COVID times. You see Hamish Watson just gets underneath Tompkins, lifts him up. Turner adds his weight. Cummings as well on top of the ball, and then it becomes a 5-man Scottish hug enveloping him. And Matt Carley called maul, and from there Nick Tompkins had no opportunity to get to ground, and Hamish Watson backing up a big performance last week.
No
relentless both sides of the ball.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
First real impact of from him on this match.
Yes, it's 1 big pair of hands on the ball and 2 pairs of hands under the armpits, and there's not much you can do when you get yourself locked like that. Hamish Watson, well, he really is everywhere when Scotland are playing rugby these days. Hasn't missed a minute of action. But there is Blade Thompson, who's taken a knock to the head, so yeah, that's just an accidental bang on the top of his head from a teammate.
A little bit of friendly fire, isn't it?
Okay.
Gary Graham will come on for that HI. Hopefully Blade Thompson will be okay. Well known down in West Wales, of course, at the Scarlets. He's had a little bit of a history of head knocks. Took a while to return to Scotland action, having picked up a head knock last year or the year before. So I think the medics will do the necessary, follow the necessary protocols and framework. We hope to see him back in action.
Gary Graham, despite being the son of a well-known former Scotland international, did spend time in the England camp but was never capped. Russell fires it out. Here's Harris. Harris just hands off Watkin. Here's Duhan van der Merwe. Takes on Lewis Rees-Zammit. I reckon Rees-Zammit might end up with sore shoulders at the end of the day, but it's been ripped by Wales. Chance to counter here. Lee Halfpenny onto Ken Owens. He spins it out to Tompkins.
That's a tackle now, let him go. No.
Scotland have dealt well with that turnover, being able to build the wall again, and Wales are going to have to kick it away.
Stuart Hogg on here to van der Merwe again. Brave tackle from Dan Biggar. Got him nice and low. There's Hogg. On to Harris. Watkin gets him that time.
A couple of nice carries in and around that area from Chris Harris down the left flank.
Russell, what will he do now? Looks for space, can't find it. Gareth Davis. That's all about anticipation and reading the game, the scrum half.
Yeah, he did well there. He realised that the kicking threat that Scotland pose, Finn Russell, he'll be disappointed with that one, down the throat of Gareth Davis. Wales have changed since Wayne Pivac has come in charge, but one thing that they haven't really changed is their desire to just kick long, keep the ball in play for as long as possible.
There's Russell. Off low was taken rather nicely there by Darcy Graham on the half volley. That was Zander Fagerson. Hamish Watson had plenty of company. He's done rather well with a bit of help from his mates.
Brilliant post-tackle effort there from Graham.
Another fine break from Chris Harris. That's 3 in the last 5 minutes.
Stay down, thank you.
Here's Johnny Gray, one of the two Scots playing his club rugby these days at the English and European champions Exeter. Cummings. Russell. That was Lang. Graham with a bit of space, he had options. Well, it's been ripped. That was Adam Beard who's turned the ball over, but in the end, Scotland get the penalty. Alan Wynne-Jones can't understand why.
Off feet. Off feet.
Brilliant initial work by Adam Beard, but it was just as the first man in to support him, straight off the feet over the top of the ball. I don't know if it was Alan Wynne-Jones, but certainly difficult to hide if that is the case. But Beard, you look at the workout over the top of the ball there from such a big man. He has said he's focused on his body height. Faletau goes off, and then Alan Wynne-Jones just the victim of the Scotland defender, actually stepping away from the ruck and not giving him something to hit, and as a result he went down onto his elbow, and Matt Carley gives the penalty for off feet. And Scotland now with a strong attacking platform.
9, you're out, thank you. Stay 2 metres.
Well, the ball's lost in the line-out, and that's the first one going against the throw of George Turner in the championship. Every dart hit double top last week against England.
Yes, Beard again making a nuisance of himself. Huge man in the middle of that line-out.
Here's Darcy Gray. Bit of space.
No effect on the tackle, no problem, play on.
That's the halfway line. Matt Fagerson.
Hold here, hold.
There are times that I see Matt Fagerson and think that it might be Duhan van der Merwe, that similar builds, both big men. His footwork and power is very, very good, but dealt with well. Liam Williams looks like he might have picked up a knock
Well, that was a terrific offload from Finn Russell. Here goes Johnny Grays waiting for the support. They're up to the 22 of the Scots. Hamish Watson with the dummy. The little chip over the top. It's Darcy Graham, and Graham's away, and he gets the try. The man who scored 2 tries here against Georgia in the autumn, recalled to replace Sean Maitland. And there he is. He gets the opener at Murrayfield.
Broad smiles from the small man, but it's the effort to work off his wing and anticipate the big hug there to the man they nicknamed Smiler, Ali Price. I think they might have a look at it just to check that Graham was behind the kick when it came, but Ali Price lifts his head. Beautifully weighted kick off his wrong foot. And Darcy Graham, sharp as a samurai's blade to get onto it. You just see the anticipation, obviously something they've worked on. Gareth Davis defends in the front line for Wales in their 22, and Graham is there to capitalise. Scotland strike.
Well, Darcy Graham got there so quickly and so early, he looked offside, but in reality, he was like a sprinter anticipating the starter's gun. He just got away absolutely right and perfectly.
What a boost that will give Darcy Graham as Wales go quickly with the restart. Dan Biggar, clever stuff.
Wait here.
Ali Price
Thank you.
hooks it into touch. Well, if there are any nerves among the Scotland coaching staff, that will have settled them just a little bit.
Ali Price really stepped up into a leadership role within this Scotland squad when Greg Laidlaw retired after the World Cup, and he's made that number 9 jersey his own. A lot of people talk a lot about Finn Russell, but Ali Price is almost as important a cog. Obviously provides the service to Russell to give him the front foot ball, but also little moments like that. Plays what he sees and loves playing his rugby positively.
Start using the ball. I've got 9.
Gareth Davis being urged there to use it. Dan Biggar pumps it up high, coming down just outside the 22. Duhan van der Merwe took 2, maybe 3 grabs. That's a big, hefty built-on boot there from Duhan van der Merwe. By comparison, Dan Biggar caressed it that time, but it's Matt Fagerson who caught it. We're through the opening quarter. Scotland lead by 10 points to 3.
Stay here. 1, stop.
Space in behind there. Wales leaving only Lee Halfpenny back because they understand the attacking threat with the likes of Russell and Hogg.
Just hold, guys, hold. Hold still.
There's
hold
Russell.
Still. Thank you.
Looks up, weighs up the options. Keeps them all guessing. That's the try scorer, Darcy Graham. Matt Fagerson once more. Gary Graham getting caught in midfield. Did rather well. They've kept possession of the Scots. There's Finn Russell this time. Fires it along the turf. And not much more than that really could be done by Liam Williams.
Yes, it's just really clever play. The dexterity of the kicking game from Finn Russell.
Scotland.
The questions that he's asking of the Wales defence, and ultimately, what's the point in keeping the ball in hand when Wales have that one man, Liam Williams, in the backfield, stretched. It's a really wide pitch here at BT Murrayfield, and when you've only have one man in the backfield, it is too much ground to cover. The accuracy of the kick pins Wales back in their 22 again.
Well, you have to say the Scots are playing with fluency and freedom at the moment.
Once. Use it.
Gareth Davis, the dummy, and then onto the left foot.
Time.
Graham. Well, he's been swung around like a whirligig by Owen Watkin. Good rucking from Wales, but Scotland have kept it on the halfway line. Ali Price looks up, sees some space. Lewis Rees-Zammit just cut it off before he went into touch. Lee Halfpenny.
Yeah, thank you.
This game is going to open up if Wales keep leaving all that space in the backfield.
Justin Tipurek just hanging on to a boot there of Duhan van der Merwe. That's gone to ground. Lewis Rees-Zammit has it.
Just a knock on in the tackle, number 1.
Wyn Jones knocking it on, so it will be a Scotland put in at the scrum.
Yeah, that's the Ali Price kick, just a little bit of backspin, like a finely struck pitching wedge. Martin there, just holding up in the 22.
Both of you that time, but we fight for the height on the
Must be one of your pitching wedges. I can never get him to come back.
I just watched lots of golf on the telly, Martin. I think that's about as far as it goes. But you can see already there's a real theme coming through here with Wales understanding they feel they need to put 14 men under Gethin Jenkins as their defence coach in charge. They have a 14-men frontline defence, and they're leaving one-man backfield, and essentially saying to Scotland, if you're good enough to kick and find touch lines and put us under pressure, then do it. But if not, then and the ball stays in play, we'll gather it and we'll hoof it up, even if they're under a little bit of pressure. But Price, Russell and Hogg all very, very aware of the space in behind, and they're capitalising on it so far. Well, that's a sad sight to see, with Blade Thompson putting the tracksuit top and warm jacket on. Obviously failed that HIA.
So Gary Graham now on permanently.
He's showed magnificent form at the Newcastle Falcons so far. Their resurgent return to the English Premiership.
Yeah, they've got a very useful back row at the Newcastle Falcons. Mark Wilson, Gary Graham, a couple of big bruisers.
Certainly are, yeah. I played alongside Mark Wilson in my time there, and I mean the engine on him. I think Gary Graham joined afterwards from Jersey. That, you know, watching him from afar, the snarl that he brings to the side is very, very evident.
Graham picks up, puts it there to Price. Chris Harris, Russell. Speed through the hands is impressive. There's a chip ahead from Hogg. Back goes Halfpenny. Oh, it's there. And Scotland have got a second try. Well, it was a gloriously worked move. That man, Stuart Hogg, getting his 21st Test try.
It's incisive, it's street smart, and it's just perfectly executed. They've done everything they wanted to manipulate the Welsh defence, and then Stuart Hogg's created a 50-50. The midfield holds the Welsh midfield. Then it becomes a 2-on-2. There's space in behind, so Hogg chips it over and shows absolute lightning speed to put Lee Halfpenny under pressure, going down on the ball, and he's having to turn. You see Halfpenny trying to shut the gate in the outside channel. Then the chip comes through. He's got to turn round, and he feels the pressure. The ball goes down, cannot gather. Hogg is there with all the momentum behind him, and the slippery surface is enough for the Scotland captain to get over the line, and Scotland capitalise once again.
Well, the chip was tantalising. It was wonderfully weighted. It put huge pressure on Lee Halfpenny. Well, we say it's his 21st Test try. Stuart Hogg, just his second against Wales. The other one having come here back in 2015. And Finn Russell, straight out of the middle, turns his back on it, throws the tee away. Easy as that. Stuart Hogg, he's in a rich vein of form, this fella.
Certainly is, and the first phase tries, we saw one earlier today from Italy against England. You know, they are often collector's items, but they're Scotland just showing if you get the accuracy of set-piece platform and then the capitalism on the accuracy of execution, you can create opportunities, and Hogg took that one.
Well, the ball lost forward, and George Turner just getting in there, so a little bit untidy from the Scots. But if you compare the execution, the speed with which the ball goes through the hands, and if you were watching the earlier game between England and Italy, it really is chalk and cheese, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. There's the smooth cohesion that you spoke about, Martin, and I think it's something that Gregor Townsend has made a real point on from day one of arriving with this Scotland squad. It's, you know, the attack, the strike from set piece sets up the platform. Historically, Scotland haven't necessarily had the ball carriers to make huge breaks if you don't get that gain line first phase, so they do now. they've got some proper damagers out there, but on this occasion they've struck first phase. But Wales now have the opportunity to respond. They'll be desperate to make the most of this opportunity.
Scotland leading by 17 points to 3, and after that opening 5 or 10 minutes, well, Wales really haven't been in the game, and Scotland get the penalty. Matt Fagerson is delighted.
He's under pressure first.
He is, but it's his brother that created that opportunity. Matt Carley suggesting that Wyn Jones went, yeah, you see his body angle, and immediately his hips come out left under the pressure of Zander Fagerson. That's what forced the scrum to crab round, and the Scotland front rower is rewarded.
Well, Scotland haven't won the first 2 matches in rugby's greatest championship for 25 years. Never in the current format with 6 teams.
They've made a decent fist of the start of this one, I think. The response from going 3-0 down, really strong, and they're going to have this Wales defence quivering a little bit, the way that they've made the most of the opportunities.
Well, George Turner must have 1 or 2 concerns now. It all worked like a dream last week, rather less so this time.
Sometimes the case, isn't it, when things go so well one week that it just takes one little disruption to put your nose out of joint a little bit.
Carry forward there from Adam Beard, one of the Ospreys in this Wales side.
Knock-on advantage.
Well, little fumble with the fingers again from Wales. Chance to gain some ground here for the Scots. That's a good kick ahead from Ali Price. Here goes Lee Halfpenny.
Hold 13.
Well, they're working on the basis there that Duhan van der Merwe doesn't have the greatest turning circle. Oh, what a step from Stuart Hogg. Not once, not twice, but 3. Price. Here's Turner again.
Looks okay to me.
Straight over the shoulder of Justin Tipuric. Finn Russell. Oh, and it's poached by Tompkins. Tompkins out of the back of the hand. Thomas Francis. Well, both teams are looking to play here. Oh, Johnny Gray for a moment. Had the ball, saw no defenders, saw the line, thought, I'm in here. But then the whistle went.
He saw his name in lights, didn't he? But I think he knew that a knock-on had been forced in the tackle. Yeah, we just see here the metres that made after contact, so that's 79 from 35 carries for Scotland. So when the tackle's coming in, Scotland are fighting, be it over that gain line. Wales, 27 carries, 21 metres after contact. It just seems to be Scotland on the front foot. The ball carriers with that little bit of space, perhaps hitting arms, not shoulders. It's always difficult to decipher your way through the data that's thrown out there, but it's certainly not a surprise, is it, to see the metres made after contact for Scotland. They seem to have dominated the collision so far this afternoon.
It's a fairly stark comparison, isn't it, Rory, because both sides have had the opportunity to carry, but it's Scotland who are making the dents, the holes in the defence and the metres. Half an hour gone. Scotland leading by 17 points to 3. Nick Tompkins' chance to run, just puts it onto the boot. Well, it must have taken a little bit of a ricochet of a Scotland player.
Jamie Ritchie in behind that mask there. Obviously one of the 3 who played last week and has missed this week through injury.
Bit of a tight hamstring, I understand.
Modern day athlete.
Yes, exactly. They didn't have tight hamstrings in your Father's Day. Just a reminder that Rory's father, also a Scotland international scrum half, going back to the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, mid 70s, yeah, 72 to 77, 78ish. They're just Aaron Wainwright. That's just one that's a real frustrator for everybody within the squad. It was nice footwork. So many people think that rugby is just this collision game of bodies running into bodies. There, Wainwright showed a nice deft of foot to be able to step off his right and just rift off the pass, but in doing so he took his eye off the ball. And we just see here the action areas. Wales had their 3 points and they had 77% of possession in those opening 7 minutes. Since then, Scotland have flipped it. Now 75% of the rugby has been played in the Welsh half. I'm just looking here at the possession stats for Scotland. 57% possession. And Gregor Townsend will certainly be very pleased with their conversion rate so far.
Stay up. Use the ball.
Graham pops it out there to Price. Hogg, chip ahead. He's playing with such confidence. Graham gets after it. Well, that was brave. Lee Halfpenny's looking a little bit groggy, so too Darcy Graham. But that was absolute commitment from both players. Stuart Hogg fills in the gap on the wing, if you like. Tries to knock it back. Back goes Gareth Davis.
Just a penalty because it's a tackle in the air.
Well, we've got a couple of players who've taken bangs to the head, so that's Darcy Graham.
Okay, time off. Just
He's looking the more groggy of the two.
Well, fully committed. Look at the pace at which he comes onto this ball, and there's a tackle in the air. It's no more than a penalty. Lee Halfpenny's fully committed, going for that ball as well. By the letter of the law, he's tackled him in the air. Two players fully committed there. It's almost unfortunate for Halfpenny to be penalised, but I guess from that we just hope that Darcy Graham is okay. What a return he's had to this Scotland squad in the opening half an hour. He's got his hands on the ball on a few occasions so far, carried well, scored his try, of course. Halfpenny looking a little bit groggy as well, not surprising. Two of the smaller men on the field, albeit they're built of very, very solid stuff.
Well, it's not inferring any sort of criticism at the decision, but the reality is the speed with which that is happening. You put yourself in the boots of Lee Halfpenny. It was very difficult to actually get away from that at all.
It's actually impossible, and I think you know as a player going into those collisions that if you come off on the wrong side of it, or if the other player gets the ball, then you're going to concede a penalty at the minimum. So you either don't commit to it and you look like a bit of a softie, or you commit to it and you get penalised. And I think on that occasion, Lee Halfpenny, if he had his time again, he's got to do exactly the same again. You've got to commit to that kind of a bouncing ball. And, you know, Scotland, I suppose, to give them credit, are creating these 50-50s in the middle ground, whereby they're hitting grass with little chip kicks. And they've reaped the rewards on a few occasions. Poorly Halfpenny at the back has had to dive on one with the bouncing ball, and Stuart Hogg ended up scoring a try from it. And that one there, he's got, you know, a diminutive figure of Darcy Graham probably ploughing into him at 25 miles an hour. And it's certainly smarted on that occasion. He's just taken a little while, and I think it's right that both players get some time to recover.
Well, I guess if you want to illustrate with one or two numbers,
a penalty.
So
we'll give him a second.
Comparing fortunes of these two sides at the moment. Until today, Scotland had scored just 6 tries against Wales here in the last 14 years. And they've already got 2 now in the opening half an hour.
Just wait, are you
so
happy?
There's an alteration.
Yeah.
A debut for Willis Halaholo.
Happy?
Man originally from the North Island. As Lee Halfpenny goes off. His relationship with Wayne Pivac goes back a long way. The pair used to work together in the Auckland Academy.
And it means a reshuffle for the Welsh midfield, actually. Halaholo's slotted in at 12. Tompkins has come onto the left wing. Liam Williams to fullback. So further disruption for that Welsh midfield.
This bod, left out, come on. Thank you. That's fine. We're inside.
Well, that was a neat move. That worked rather better. Here comes Darcy Graham. Clearly back in fine fettle. Price. Gary Graham. Scotland confidence growing with virtually every pass here. That's James Lang. Good tackle from Faletau. Picked up by Darcy Graham.
Let him go.
He really has taken his chance today in the absence of Sean Maitland.
He's got the work rate of a caffeinated beaver, hasn't he? He's popping up everywhere at the moment, and not showing any pain from that collision with Halfpenny.
Well, I'll take your word for it. I don't know too much about beavers.
Number 1 and 5 on their feet, 20 off feet. On the
Well,
latch, number
that
20.
time it comes to nothing. Penalty to Wales.
Holding.
That's one that will frustrate a little bit, and it's, you know, it's potentially nitpicking again, it's just the clearing man going off his feet. You see Gary Graham
15.
sealing over the top there. And the Welsh hands, even though they get on it, he's protecting the
15,
ball.
please, Dan.
And you just don't get away with that now. As that supporting player, Wayne Pivac, I think that's a clap of relief. And he'll be desperate for his squad to get a hold of the ball and try and build some territory and possession, because they've been under pressure
Mark up on the
since
assistant,
about the 10th minute of this match.
thank you.
Scotland on that occasion not taking the opportunity, but have shown an awful lot of good in this first half.
Well, wherever you're sitting in the world and watching this, perhaps it's important to give you some idea of the challenges these players are dealing with today. Temperatures sub-zero. You take a walk outside the stadium, the snow comes well over your boots. So I don't know what you were doing this morning, whether you were on the North Shore in New Zealand, north of Auckland, or maybe on the beach in Manly, or perhaps walking around Clifton in Cape Town.
1 and 8.
Believe me,
Side, 1 and
the
8.
temperatures are the antithesis of that. It's very, very cold this weekend in Europe.
There's every chance that unless you're in Saskatchewan or somewhere like that in Canada or
I was going to
Iceland.
say you're showing off there.
Number
there
1
we go.
and number 8. Step off.
I was down on the beach and it was cold.
That was North Berwick.
But I tell you what, the players won't be feeling it at all. The guys on the bench may well do, but the players down there will be just fine. The action has been pretty relentless so far. Scotland seemingly in charge, but Wales desperate to finish this half with a bang.
That looked a little bit high there on Talupi Faletau. That's confirmed by
Penalty advantage to
Matthew
Wales.
Carley. Gareth Davis, bigger. Oh, the hit there on Tompkins.
Over the shoulder,
Ferocious.
Number 20. Number 20.
Big shot by Harris.
Started on the
I
shoulder.
think
up to the
Liam
neck.
Williams may be a little bit lucky that Matt Carley blew his whistle and turned and ran
Sorry,
quickly, because
Just back.
the final carry there, it's a high shot from Gary Graham. It's one that will really frustrate Steve Tandy, and Wales go for the corner, understanding the importance of this moment. They want 5 or 7 rather than the 3. But Chris Harris, an outstanding defender, created a really good read there to come in, jam in on the defence. Big
Make
big
sure we
shots.
stay out to the arm drops. Space, okay, thank you. 6.
In the context of the contest, the next 3 minutes or so
Wales, in you
are
come.
crucial to Wales. They'll be desperate to stop the bleeding, to get some points on the board. Adam
No.
Beard rising high in that
5, in 5.
black protective headgear.
Out now.
Look at Gareth Davis trying to get Rory Sutherland out. Heading in the right direction for Wales. There's the arm out from Carley, the referee. Gareth Davis feeds the ball on. Halaholo takes a
Penalty
little
advantage.
look inside the shoulder there of Finn Russell. Bigger. Nick Tompkins does well to get it away. Liam Williams and Reece Zammit a step inside. An absolutely vital score for the men in ring.
It's a brilliant finish, outstanding attacking play, knowing that Wales had the free hit and they were willing to have a shot to nothing, and they made the most of it. So often now, when the ball goes a little bit slow, the teams just try and go pick and go, pick and go. On this occasion, there's the ball to Bigger, holds it a little bit. It was that Tompkins pass. He drew in Van der Merwe, got the pass away, and Lewis Reece Zammit, Darcy Graham, nothing he could do. Watch the work here from Tompkins though, drifts off, takes the tackle of Harris, spins out, gets the ball away from Duhan van der Merwe, and from there it was hands to Reece Zammit, who stepped off his right and finished off, and Wales have made the most of an opportunity to finish this half strong, and that's a crucial score in the context of this match.
Well, he's quite a try machine, is Lewis Reece Zammit. Got the crucial score last week down in Cardiff against Ireland. Who knows how important that will be to the Welsh cause here. It was a lovely bit of skill from Nick Tompkins. Skills honed at Saracens. He's now on loan at the Dragons. And Dan Bigger can't convert the try, but Wales have their first try, and in the end I guess it was an easy finish for Reece Zammit, with Darcy Graham in the end just overcommitting himself. And Wayne Pivac, well, he'll have struggled to keep his palms warm today, but as you can see, that was a moment to celebrate.
Certainly was. Reece Zammit for a player
Timing, good.
as blindingly
Onside.
quick as he is, it was an easy finish. Wales respond well.
One or two Welsh voices claiming that the Scots were perhaps ahead of the starter's pistol on that occasion. Cries of offside, not answered by the referee.
Rarely answered, are they? You see it so often, and I'm not sure I've ever seen one.
But in fairness, it is a constant transgression, isn't it?
It sure is. Refs have more to be worrying about, I guess.
Wyn Jones just squeezing the ball back. I think Wales just looking to get into half-time.
Use it.
Into the final 15 seconds. There's Ken Owens.
Here the communication coming in, Xander Fagerson, low chop, low chop, low chop, give the support the opportunity to get over the ball, but expect Gareth Davies to use up the final few seconds and get rid of this one.
So Davies
Time is up.
feeds it back to Dan Biggar, and that is 40 minutes, which has flown by, which in my world means we've seen a very entertaining first half at Murrayfield. Wales decide to get the first points on the board,
21
and the last ones. Scotland 2 tries of their own. Stuart Hogg in superb form. Darcy Graham with a try as well. Scotland looking at the possibility of making it back-to-back wins at the start of Rugby's Greatest Championship for the first time in its current format, but we've still got 40 minutes to go.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
After the relative warmth
Still a minute.
of the changing rooms for 10 minutes or so, they've stepped out here into what is a very crisp Edinburgh midwinter's evening. They must feel as if they've walked into one of those big deep freezes. Matt Carley doing what he can to keep warm, but ahead of us, Rory, an absolutely crucial 40 minutes for both sides.
Absolutely, I think the first score of this second half is really important. Wales finishing the first half better than Scotland. They showed a power in their maul, which Scotland will have been talking about at half-time. They've forced Scotland into a couple of disciplinary problems, conceding 6 penalties, probably 4 of which were in the last 10-15 minutes of that first half. And they've also disrupted the Scottish line-out. Two from 5 line-outs disrupted by Wales. So there's enough positive in there to show that the Welsh have a lot of resolve. The purple patch in the middle of Scotland made the most of, but the first score of this half so important.
All sorts of landmarks at stake for the Scots, such as if they win here, it'll be the first time they've won the first 2 matches in the Six Nations, or the 5 Nations Championship as it was for 25 years. That's just one of them. There are even, or are some even more impressive numbers. But it gives you some idea of the level that Scotland now operating at after that fantastic win in southwest London a week ago. Chris Harris out there to Stuart Hogg. First penalty goes the way of Wales.
You see Gary Graham throw his arms up because Lewis Rees-Zammit went as if he was going to go over the top of the ball and step back, and it's the same penalty that Wales were penalised for in that first half. Oh, it's a poor error though by Biggar.
He was trying to nick one of those deliberate fades, wasn't he? Didn't quite get it right. Justin Tipperick just got the tips of his fingers to it, but it went backwards. Here goes Liam Williams. First time tackle there from George Turner. Oh, it's then spilt by Nick Tompkins.
Error, compounding error. Nick Tompkins certainly didn't expect that one from Gareth Davies. But it started with a missed penalty to touch You see this from Dan Bigger. He goes for the banana kick, kicking the
there
outside
and
of
then
it. As it is, he didn't get all of it. And it's straight down the throat of Duhan van der Merwe, who belted it upfield. Scotland built their defensive wall, and there Gareth Davies lifted his head up and panicked and threw a pass to Nick Tompkins, who was probably organising some of his forwards for the next phase of play.
The last half, okay?
And Scotland immediately, from having faced a 5-metre line out from their own line, now have a wonderful attacking platform, attacking scrum. Centre field, Stuart Hogg and Darcy Graham on the right-hand side, with Finn Russell, James Lang, Chris Harris and Duhan van der Merwe down the left flank.
Well, I'm not sure if it's the colds that's got to me, Rory, but I'm pretty certain there that George Turner's wearing a different shade of hat in this second half, isn't he?
Yeah,
sure, it was red in the first half,
well
wasn't it?
spotted, eagle-eyed, yes. We are quite a long way back, and we're probably at about 300 feet here as well. It's certainly a bit colder, I think, than it is at ground level. We certainly didn't have the warmth of the half-time changing room, did we, Martin?
No, we certainly didn't, unfortunately.
A bit of jogging on the spot.
Yes, it truly is. I think well, we haven't got any records where this is concerned, but it must be one of the coldest Six Nations evenings we've had for many, many years.
Well, I had a message come in at half-time, minus 20 in Finland, Martin, so we can be thankful that this match isn't being played in the snow of Finland. It's a lovely night, though. We did fear that the snow was coming in. There was pre-kick-off snow, but that's thankfully cleared, and from afar it looks like just about perfect conditions, albeit a little breeze at Scotland's back.
Well, the penalty going against the Scots.
Pressure on his arm, pushing him to the ground. Number 3.
It's Sander Fagerson who's penalised.
Similar to the first penalty as well, wasn't it? Bigger's gone quickly and he's found touch on this occasion, but Matt Carley very clear with his messaging to the big number 3 there. Pressure on his arm, straight to ground. It looks like he's pulled Wyn Jones down there rather than it being Wyn Jones dragging him to ground, and there was an air of inevitability for that. I think it was the 3rd reset, and I think typically around that, if you don't get a clean scrum, then the referee makes a decision one way or another, sometimes at a guess.
So Ken Owens earning his 79th cap today for Wales. There goes Owen Watkin. Watkin having his first start since this fixture last season, which was only just 3 months ago down in Llanelli. Alan Wyn Jones, captain fantastic. Aaron Wainwright there to Bigger. Bigger on there to Liam Williams. Look how well marshalled this Scotland defence is, though. And Scotland get the penalty. And it is important to reinforce that point, Rory, that all these defensive sets from the Scots being marshalled by a Welshman.
No problem.
Absolutely. Steve Tandy will be delighted with that. The discipline shown throughout. And it was almost like Scotland just guided Wales down a dead end, and Hamish Watson and that spectacular mullet over the top of the ball. Rugged refusal to be moved from that tackle area, and he wins his side a penalty. It was, as soon as you see hit the 7 on his back over the top of the ball, you just know that he's not going to shift. James Lang was in there, caused a problem, and Halaholo committed on him rather than seeing where the secondary threat was. And you see even Liam Williams, and Wyn Jones comes in late there from the side. All too late, though.
7 has been called. 7's called.
So there's George Turner, goes over the top, picked up well, and there's Darcy Graham. Excellent work that time from James Lang, just to pop the ball up for Darcy Graham. Ali Price. That's Rory Sutherland, another player wearing blue tonight, seen to be in Lions contention. The win here can only do their cause. A power of good. Cummings, powerful running line from the second row. Price. Lang puts his head down. They're within 4 metres again of the Scots. They continue to work the short side. Johnny Gray trying to power his way over that time.
Step back, 5.
Price has got his hands on it. Let's see who it is now. It's Xander Fagerson.
Hands up, 5. Offside.
It's the big fellas who are trying to bulldoze their way over. Wales have come offside.
And this is the free hit where you get a couple of phases to go to generate quick ball and then have a shot at nothing.
Gary Graham. Oh, and look at that from Tipuric. Well, the referee was happy with that, but remember, he's still playing that advantage to the Scots.
No problem there. Hands in front of the back foot and no arms in the tackle.
Yeah, it was Wainwright, I think, came offside initially, and then
Same
from
sequence.
there, no arms in the tackle. Scotland build pressure again. Interesting to see what decisions made here. Stuart Hogg coming forward from the back as skipper.
Yes, full back. Good position from
Tap and go.
which to see the overall battlefield, but it's a long run to deliver the messages. That's what Stuart Hogg had to do. There's Gary Graham. Xander Fagerson this time. Look at Tipuric in with the defensive efforts. Well, it's a good old-fashioned arm wrestle, this one. Oh, half a metre to go here for Scotland. Gary Graham once again.
Hands up, 5.
Xander Fagerson is over it. He's got the support there of Turner. Sutherland this time. What a glorious tackle from Wainwright. Oh, and he's popped it up to Cummings. And also there you can see wearing 20 was Gary Graham. And it looks like Scotland have got it down, but Matthew Carley is going to check it with his television match official.
Carl, on-field decision is no try. I believe the ball is held up, but we just check. But first of all, I want to see if the Scottish ball carrier is if there's an obstruction with the ball carrier and the support player.
Okay, so on-field decision is no try, just looking at obstruction and grounding.
Yeah, so we're looking here at Scott Cummings and also at Gary Graham.
I thought Scott Cummings had it, but it's potentially went to Gary Graham. I think there is obstruction there. I think that one's meant for Cummings. It ends up going to Gary Graham and he's held up.
Red.
All my eyes were on Lewis Rees-Zammit, but I think this is going to be a Welsh penalty. Yeah, Cummings cuts across, wanting that ball coming on the unders line up against the smaller man and Rees-Zammit.
Obstruction. Carl, are we happy with the obstruction? The player is in front, stopping 14 red from making a tackle.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, okay. Obstruction, crossing.
Well, you have to say, that is an opportunity missed.
It certainly is. Scotland building that pressure. It looked inevitable that they'd get over eventually. George Turner, I think he could have almost got over. He slipped under one tackle. It came off a wonderful line-out move, but that one's clear there. I think it's Watkin does incredibly well to get to Gary Graham round the back of Scott Cummings and Lewis Rees-Zammit.
Replacement.
Interesting couple of changes here, both half-backs for Wales.
Okay, no problem. Hang on.
Well, Dan
Time's
Bigger
still off. Come on, hey, come on, your front.
doesn't look entirely happy. I think he expects to be out there a little bit longer than 48 minutes or so.
Up you come, please, Wales.
Quite a decision.
Time on.
So on have come both Kieran Hardy and Callum Sheedy. There is confirmation of the replacement at scrum half. Here is Kieran Hardy. Scottish fingers just flick the end of that as Duan van der Merwe being pursued by Rees-Zammit. Great little step again from Stuart Hogg. Well, you could see there Ken Owens was applauding it. Thomas Francis in the thick of it.
The teammates, one almost twice the size and weight of the other. Francis having a little quiet word in his Exeter teammate Stuart Hogg's ear.
Yes, it is worth making the point. I mentioned the fact there are 2 extra players on the Scotland side. There is another, as you point out there, Rory, playing in red tonight.
Yeah, I've seen a few words. Actually, Stuart Hogg got beyond Wyn Jones and as a result possibly just got half a yard away from his nearest support. I didn't actually catch who it was that was over the top. You can see the frustration of Stuart Hogg. Wayne Pivac delighted. Kieran Hardy, early impact from him off the bench. Great box kick, putting Scotland under pressure.
Tipperick.
Line-out's over.
It's now with Ken Owens. Look there at Rory Sutherland, just swimming a little bit up the side, but this is well orchestrated by Wales. Ken Owens has still got it.
Yeah.
Hardy feeds the ball out. Terrific hands, Lewis Rees-Zammit. There's time and space, and Liam Williams, and Wales have got another. They're right back into the match.
They certainly are, and once again making the most of that penalty advantage, just like Scotland couldn't do moments ago. They've taken their opportunity, worked their way up the field, created that box kick from the line out, turned Scotland over at the breakdown, and from there, this maul, this Welsh maul, is just building pressure. Scotland don't have any answers to the questions that it's posing at the moment. Matt Carley's arm out there for penalty advantage. Early touch, Halaholo, lovely sleight of hand by Sheedy to get through the hands to Rees-Zammit. Gets the ball away to Liam Williams. He doesn't need a second invitation to finish that one off with open prairie in front of him. Wales strike the all-important first score of this second half. They're right back in the mix now.
Well, there was an interesting piece in one of the English newspapers this morning, penned by John Barclay, the former Scotland captain, who also happens to be a former Scarlet, where he worked with that man, Wayne Pivac. And he borrowed a line in that piece from the former Scotland number 8, David Leslie, who said that rugby in Wales, well, it can be a vehicle of national aspiration. And there's no doubt that the men in red here are staring deep into their souls, and they're finding something.
Cracking game, haven't we? 4 tries already this afternoon, and it's starting to open up, and Wayne Pivac will be delighted with the response of his side in the opening 10 minutes of the second half.
Neat little kick from Callum Sheedy as well. The replacement there for Dan Biggar at fly half. Here's Kieran Hardy. Well, there is no shortage of good nines in Wales. You could say that Kieran Hardy is perhaps at the very best number 3. In some people's books, he's down at number 5, but he's getting a chance here.
Thank you.
There's Rory Sutherland.
Well, obviously from the Scarlets, his time at the Scarlets. Kieran Hardy, young scrum half there at the time.
13 onside, no
They'll
problem.
chip over the top. Chris Harris anticipated and pursued it well. Here's Ali Price. Sense of urgency now about Scotland. Also perhaps a little bit of indecision there from Ali Price, but they keep possession. He gets another crack at it. There's Finn Russell. Well, nobody was on the end of it.
Play on, Pascal.
Well, Stuart Hogg in danger of creating 1 or 2 problems, but they've got out of a tight spot of the Scots. That was George Turner.
Alan Wynne-Jones has felt that one as well.
You okay?
Great little kick over the top there from Ali Price. Here's the most recent try scorer, Liam Williams.
6.
Open prairie on the right-hand side here. If Stuart Hogg can get it out there.
That is a very dangerous combination. How many times have we seen him do this, Stuart Hogg? Eventually Aaron Wainwright, with a bit of help from Ken Owens, gets him down. But Scotland get the penalty.
Stop. Go down. Go down a second. Stop. Stop. Okay. No problem. Time's off for a second. No, it's fine.
I think Matt Carley is just giving Alan Wynne-Jones some time to get seen to here potentially. He certainly felt that carry from George Turner.
Just have Adam Wynne. Just have a look. Okay.
Yes, he's called over the specialist to take a look at Alan Wynne-Jones.
Beard did really well here. Look at the effort there, but you cannot kick the ball through a ruck. You can back heel it, or you can kick it back towards your own team.
Yeah.
He did really well to get Darcy Graham, the smaller man, off it and disrupt the ruck, but by kicking the ball.
We've got a foul play check against blue 3.
I think this might be for a clear out, a few phases beforehand. Xander Fagerson came in from a long way off in order to get the threat. I think it was Wynne-Jones over the top of the ball.
Yeah, we're ready, Carl.
Okay, we're going to show you the angles when we're ready. Just
No
3 arriving into the breakdown.
Yep.
Well, Zander Fagerson showing no ill effects. Well, he's actually potentially the guilty party, is Zander Fagerson.
That's a tough one. He's straight over the top of the ball. He's dropped his body height, but there is contact with the head.
Carl,
Yes, Matthew.
we believe the player is clearly at fault, and he runs from a distance and has a clear line of sight of the player. So we need to know if there's any mitigation and the point of contact, please.
Okay, we'll try and get a close-up and the point of contact.
Well, the concern for Scotland is that they'll be hoping that this is not Peter O'Mahony revisited.
Well, it could well be. It could well, because you see the points, the framework, it's from a distance, so Zander Fagerson has a clear line of sight on it. Is there a change of height around Wyn Jones that would mitigate and give Zander Fagerson the out on this? And then from there it comes into the framework of where is the contact.
I'm trying to work on getting the operator to get the angle up.
Okay, that's fine.
If it's shoulder or head to head, then Zander Fagerson could well be facing the same outcome as Peter O'Mahony.
Well, the first thing that's got to happen is the cold fingers down in the TV truck have got to find
So
the
Matthew,
angle.
it's direct contact to the head. However, the player is moving, being cleaned out, and moves his body upwards.
Can you show us that one more time, please?
Yes.
Well, Carl Dixon at least
We need to
appears
see
to
if
be
that movement
offering
is
something in
clear shift
mitigation
of the
here.
body, or whether it's just a small movement.
I think it's the efforts of Stuart Hogg. Look at Stuart Hogg trying to get Wyn Jones off it.
Okay, Carl, just this one more angle, please.
So he's over the top of the ball and then his head lifts up. I'm not sure
Okay, Carl.
what that means to the outcome.
Yes, Matthew.
So, yes, the player has a 15 is on the side, but we don't believe that the shift in the body is significant enough to mitigate this down. So we've got direct contact with the player coming from distance and hitting his shoulder directly onto the head.
This is a telling
Okay, as long as you
moment for Scotland.
consider the movement not enough, then I'm with you.
Okay, no, we were agreed, so it's going to be a red card to number 3, Scotland.
So Scotland
Number 3, please.
are going down to
Number 3.
14 men.
Arms like this, you've had a clear line of sight, and you've hit him directly in the head. No, he hits him directly in the head. Okay, we've got a mark, please.
Well, it's the first crisis moment in this Guinness Six Nations for the Scotland camp.
Oh, and it's a huge moment
Yeah,
as
1
well.
second.
It really is. Zander Fagerson, the shake of the head, he'll be disappointed,
Just hang on, we're not
hugely
sure where the
disappointed
mark
from that. I think that what proved against him in the end was the fact he came from distance in that area. If that's a close exchange, I don't think it's picked up on. But when you've got a man of his size, 125
Sorry, guys, with this
kilos, going to
Carl
move
here.
another huge unit off the ball, it's just clear, and Carl Dixon has picked up on it, gone through to Matt Carley. He's brought some mitigation into it, but Matt Carley, the referee, has decided that there wasn't enough of a shift in the body height of Wyn Jones to mitigate it enough.
step up on the
It's
assistant.
shoulder
Thank
to
you. On the line,
head,
Scotland.
and because Zander Fagerson has his arm alongside him, it works against him. The red card, particularly given this Welsh pack coming into the game in and around that mall, it's a huge loss for Scotland. Really interesting to see whether they can react.
But given that we are where we are with direct contacts to the head at the moment, that was a moment of very significant indiscipline from Scotland. VP Nell will be getting stripped off and ready. He'll be on shortly. But will Scotland be in front when he gets on?
Down from red at
A
the
real
front.
chance here for
Down from
Wales.
red.
Kieran
Step
Hardy
back, step back. Thank you.
out there to Wyn Jones.
No hands, no hands.
It is such a chance, this, for Wales.
Use it.
They won with the benefit of a one-man advantage against Ireland last weekend. In all honesty, in the end, they make quite a meal of it. But they are presented with the same open window this time. Wyn Jones being held up. They think they've got it down. Matt Carley's trying to get himself in position.
Time off. Time off.
Well, Carl Dixon is going to earn his travelling expenses today, because I think we're going to hear him again.
On-field decision is a try. Can we just double check how the ball got there, please?
Wyn Jones believes it. He believes he's scored. He was tackled and it was almost like he fell on top of a tackler.
Just looking how the ball got there.
He does have one opportunity to then shift the ball and get over the line, and he does so there. That's a clear score for me. And what a reaction from Wales immediately off the back of the red card. They generate the maul and the go forward. And Wyn Jones in the close exchanges does brilliantly to get over.
Yeah, I've got one movement onto the line.
Try.
So I'll stick with the on-field decision.
Well, until 5 minutes before half-time, Scotland was stretching their legs and threatening to run rampant over the men in red. But what a turnaround it's been over the course of the last 20 minutes of game time. Scotland have had a man sent off, and Wales, look at that, a third try. It's now for the men in blue, who have it all to do. Well, his first strike was straight out of the middle. And his second, well, you could hear from the sound, the contact wasn't great.
Replacement.
Just got over it a little bit of a snap hook about it.
This is an interesting change now. Gary Graham giving way.
Thank you.
Richie Gray now on, so he'll bolster that 7-man Scotland pack with 6'10" and 19 stone of weight. I think Scott Cummings will probably drop into the back row. Scotland must now react. I think the next score is so important.
Well, Scotland need the 23 minutes of their collective rugby lives.
Need a prop?
Well, they need a prop now, don't they?
This is an interesting decision in itself, actually, who VP Nel comes on for. Does Scotland try and create an 8-man pack and work with 6 backs?
14.
Yeah, and it's Darcy Graham that's going to give way. Real shame for Darcy Graham. What a return to the side he's had with that try scoring in the first half. 61 metres made from 7 carries. He seemed to pop up everywhere in a 20-minute purple patch. Outside of his control now, and Scotland get back to 8 in the forwards, but go down to 6 in the backs.
So they've now got 130 test caps. Have Scotland in that second row, shared between the Gray brothers.
Crouch.
They've got VP Nel on the tight head side.
Bind. Set.
There certainly should be no compromise in this part of the game. It's the attacking options and defensively. Oh, and look at that, the arm is out from Matt Carley. Price. Here comes Duhan van der Merwe, powering his way through. Ali Price, oh, and then it's spilt forward by Cummings, but they still have the penalty.
Collapse under pressure. Number 1.
It's a strong scrum from Scotland against try scorer Wyn Jones. The penalty there, VP Nel, renowned for his scrummaging prowess. Finn Russell, I think, is calling for a ball to kick to the touchline. But Scotland will definitely be keen to focus more on capitalising on these penalty advantages. They've had 3, and Wales have shown. Wales, I think, have had 2 and have scored 2 tries. For Scotland, I think they've had 3 and they've not made the most of them. Other than, I think maybe that Darcy Graham try, there was penalty advantage being played. Here's a really, really huge moment in the game with just over a quarter of it to go.
George Turner needs to find the form of last week, and he has done there, finding Cummings. Turner's got it now. He's so powerful and explosive in open play as the Glasgow hooker, and he's still got it. He's in there, on the ground now. 6 metres out, Scotland. That's Johnny Gray. Look at Hamish Watson and Richie Gray waiting for it.
No.
There's the ball presented. Carried forward by VP Nell. It's Sutherland this time. He takes on Ken Owens. Ali Price has it. On to George Turner. Back comes Matt Fagerson. Well, the run-up to this game has been about injuries in the Welsh side. It's now the Scots who have had to reassign personnel.
Stay on side, thank you.
There's Hamish Watson. Watson, look at the body position. His chin was barely a matter of inches above the green Murrayfield turf. Sutherland that time. Well, it's like two arm wrestlers staring into one another's eyes. It's a penalty coming for Scotland, so they will have a chance to tie things up. Finn Russell tries to just grubber it through.
Offside. Offside, you're leaning
Well,
on
you got the penalty
breakdown
straight
to
in
get
front,
onside.
Rory. You call for the kicking tee, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think you even it up. I'll be very surprised if they go for anything
Yeah,
else,
the
albeit they
captain
did go for
decide, guys.
the tap and go last
Offside,
time they were
number
here in this second half. So I wouldn't say it's going to be a given going for posts just yet. Maybe they think that a try is their option.
Okay. Yeah, sorry guys.
Scrum called.
Hey, I tell you what, that is very, very bold indeed.
But your hands are up the side of the breakdown. That's the same as having your hands on the floor.
I thought they might have gone for the Exeter style tap and go again, but scrum is interesting with only 6 backs to attack
Let's
with.
go. Come on, Scotland.
Scotland building pressure in that red zone, but again that time Finn Russell, he knew it was a shot to nothing, went to grubber through, and the Welsh foot managed to get in the way of it. I just wonder whether just try and be a little bit more patient, keep the ball in hands for 1 or 2 more phases until you can create half an opportunity.
Look at that statistic when you consider the amount of time that Scotland have spent in the opposing 22. In comparison with Wales, they don't have that much to show for it. So clearly, the easy option and pragmatism not in the Scotland playbook.
Set.
Scotland have one less man out wide. The arm is out again from Matthew Carley. Finn Russell, chip over the top for Duhan van der Merwe. A despairing dive.
Collapse on the tight head side.
Another penalty.
Number 3, collapse.
I suspect it's going to be more of the same, isn't it, Rory?
Number 3,
I'd imagine
collapse.
so, because this is about generating penalty on penalty and trying to force Matt Carley into making a big decision about potentially reducing Wales to 14 with a yellow card.
Decision, please, Scotland. Scrum.
There's the captain, he says one more.
Left or right? Wait, I'll go to the left. Okay, time off. Time off.
VP Nell will be licking his lips in and around this.
3 red replacement.
Well, you heard the
Happy here,
encouragement there,
or do
didn't
you
you?
want to move slightly to the
Let's
side?
go VP.
And unsurprisingly, perhaps, Wales choose to change the picture in that front row.
Yes, Thomas Francis is coming off. He will be replaced by Leon Brown. So an extra chief replaced by a dragon.
Let's go. Control, boy, control.
Yeah.
It is an interesting change. Leon Brown coming on.
Let's go, Scotland.
I think
Here we are.
Francis would definitely be recognised as the stronger scrummager of the two. But perhaps Wayne Pivac just feeling that he needs to change the picture that Matt Carley's seeing.
Sorry,
For
time
me, the
off, time
penalties
off.
seem to have gone against Wyn Jones more
6
than they
red
have
replacement.
on the tight head side.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You looked at me. as
Jimmy
if it was
Botham
my
on off the bench as well for Aaron Wainwright. So some impact
fault. No worries.
that
Okay.
Wayne Pivac is looking for. Some extra energy. They do seem to
Make sure
be
it's stable,
hugely
yeah.
energised in this second half, and obviously off the back of the red card and that couple of the 2 scores that they've had, it's well justified.
Beg your pardon, Rory. Spare a moment for Wayne Pivac. He went through 2020 with just 3 wins from 10 matches, 2 of those against Italy, 1 against Georgia. He beat Ireland last week. How much it would mean for him And Wales as a country, if they could go away with back-to-back wins at the start of the Guinness Six Nations.
Released to bind and then we went up on the mark. We'll go again.
Absolutely, their stock did fall in 2020. There's no doubt about that, but
your bind, okay?
there's also
And then we both
been
went
this
up, okay?
reassurance from within the Welsh camp. Outside, they've been taking pelters from all over the place in the media and the public, but they know they have the firepower to deliver a knockout blow against any opponent if things click. They've clicked on a few occasions this afternoon, and now facing 14 men of Scotland. They are in a match-winning position, but this is a big, big moment.
Bind!
Well, we've spoken about false dawns in the past with Scotland. We are at the other end of the
It's not
day.
right for both sides. It's not right for both sides.
It is a crucial 16 minutes or so
Let's go.
that remain
Bind up.
in this Six Nations encounter. You'll never take away that win from them last week down at Twickenham, ending a 38-year drought. But I tell you what, some of the gloss will certainly have come off by the end of today if they don't beat Wales.
Bind. Set.
Price with the pudding. There it is for Matt Fagerson. The referee urging Ali Price to use it. Price feeds the ball out. Russell. Through goes Stuart Hogg. The first tackle missed, and Hogg has got there. What a response from the Scots.
It's a magnificent finish. He has no right to score that try. Yes, the ball is played away by Ali Price. Finn Russell gets it through his hands quickly, and then it just becomes a one-on-one or a two-on-two. And as it is, Stuart Hogg just has too much in his footwork. You just see the little goose step that gets him away from the defender, and he's over in the corner. It's magnificent footwork. I think it's Owen Watkin that's opposite him. Just look at the goose. Just gets himself half a yard, a little bit of a fend. Nick Tompkins can't reel him in, and the captain looks up knowing that he's bagged the brace and got his side back in front.
Well, it's the burst of pace. Owen Watkin finding himself a little bit flat-footed. And you can see the Osprey down there on its haunches. He knows how costly that could have been.
And it's a huge call to go for that scrum when you only have 6 backs out there, but I almost said it before the strike move. When you have the likes of Duhan van der Merwe and when you have the likes of Stuart Hogg, you have guys who have the ability to scare defenders, whether that's 1 or 2 defenders. On that occasion there, Stuart Hogg got beyond 2 defenders to score. This is now an important conversion for Finn Russell to stretch lead to 4.
Oh, I say. Well, he does have that habit of rising to the occasion and producing his best when it's absolutely necessary. The same could be said of that man. Scotland lead by 4.
Yeah, defensively, Wales actually just got too tight. Hardy came round and Sheedy didn't move quick enough to help out. Watkin up against Stuart Hogg. He was compromised. Tompkins was on the back foot. Scotland back in the lead. What a response.
And Johnny Gray imperious under that restart.
Patient, thank you.
So, it's over to Wales now. Show us what you've got.
No, one.
1 extra man on the park. 13 minutes
You pulled them over, then
to
you can't
bridge
repeat, okay?
a 4-point deficit. Well taken by Lewis Rees-Zammit.
Great
Forced
shot, George
backwards.
Turner.
George Turner, that was fantastic. Callum Sheedy. Here's Watkin, he'll be anxious to atone. Hardy feeds the ball on. Forward goes Leon Brown.
Ball is here.
You can just keep an eye on the breakdown now. I don't think Scotland will commit anyone to the breakdown. It'll be tackler and then everybody roll out, get to your feet, try and build that 14-man wall. They're exposed here down the left though.
Watkin on looping pass that Williams had to wait for. He's a very powerful and aggressive runner, is Liam Williams. Sheedy. Watkin with the offload. There's Brown. This is good from Wales. Wyn Jones. Hardy. Sheedy. A little poke through. It's meant for Louis Rees-Zammit. What a kick that is. Oh, it's got the wrong bounce. And Stuart Hogg, he still had to be on his mettle.
He certainly did, but he did brilliantly because he's the one man defending the backfield and he was almost looking to come up to the front line. It was a deft little kick, but look at the effort from Stuart Hogg. Rees-Zammit charging it down and the ball stayed in play. It was a wicked bounce. But Wales just showing that Scotland with 14 men, it's very, very difficult to cover the whole width of this
1 and 2
Scotland pitch.
1 and 2.
So Scotland changing their other 2 men in the front row. So off goes Rory Sutherland, so too George Turner. Well, David Cherry, it's been a long trip for David Cherry to this level of rugby.
Play Scotland.
Capped 10 times as an under-20 with Scotland, but then struggled to gain a professional contract in this part of the world. But here he is now earning his 2nd cap as a 30-year-old. Ollie Kebble is on. Another member of Scotland's Boerewors Brigade.
Faletau, big hulking carry there.
Sheedy, looping pass out, picked up by Nick Tompkins. Well, what a difference a few weeks makes. The Autumn Nations Cup. The headlines from there were about maybe the concerns we had about the quality of Test rugby. What a start it's been to this season's Six Nations Championship. Louis Rees-Zammit, he's got first run on Hogg. Oh, that's brilliant. That is spectacular from Louis Rees-Zammit.
What a finish, Louis Rees-Zammit. Take about the 20-year-old. 2nd try this afternoon, sees Stuart Hogg do it. And my goodness, look at this for a razor-sharp finish. The opportunity comes in the outside channel. He gets a yard away from Duhan van der Merwe, who's had to bite in, chips Stuart Hogg, and from there he has all the momentum. Perfectly weighted chip, bounces up, and it looks like such a simple finish off the back of it. But just look at this, he's full speed, puts it onto his right foot, and it's perfectly weighted. He could not place that any better. Regathers and goes over. Big response from Wales, and once again capitalising when they get the opportunity on a soft edge with Scotland unable to defend the whole width.
Well, Wayne Pivac doesn't show his emotions terribly often. But that little punch of the air suggests maybe, just maybe. Well, Alan Wyn Jones has been replaced. Callum Sheedy. Well, once again, it's another bit of a miscue. It's just a 1-point lead. A little more than 9 minutes to go. It is the classic grandstand finish in rugby's greatest championship.
What a cracking game. It's a bonus point try for Wales as well. So now the result is so important. Obviously, Scotland, can they respond with the 14 men? They've shown that they've done it on one occasion already. This game has totally come to life in this 2nd half. It was a decent first half, but my goodness, I'm not sure we would have seen the drama that's unfolded in the first 30 minutes of this 2nd half coming.
Well, I'm not a gambling man, Rory, but I reckon I would have got generous odds on either of these sides winning their first 2 matches in the Six Nations this year. It's going to happen. But who is going to do it? 8.5 minutes to settle that question. Ali Price on there to Kebble. Finn Russell, Stuart Hogg.
What is that?
Cherry pops it up to Johnny Gray.
No one.
At this stage, a score of any kind will do. Oh, through he goes, Duhan van der Merwe. Almost. Just being held on to by a few threads of his blue jersey. Finn Russell floats it out. That's well grabbed by Richie Gray. That was nonchalant. Here's Chris Harris.
Let go.
Hamish Watson. Russell.
It was the right option there. I think he was tempted to put one out the back, but the gate had been closed by Wales.
Stuart Hogg. Scotland need to find a little moment of genius again.
Ripped in the tackle.
There certainly are
Good
plenty of
turnover.
potential providers, but it was
You're
ripped in the
front, stay
tackle.
there. Thank you.
And Wales send them back, but Hogg wonderfully anticipated, and look at that, the old-fashioned spiral kick. Well taken by Callum Sheedy, just saying, here there referee, I called the mark.
I think he's giving his players just the opportunity to catch breath, understanding that they're in control of the scoreboard, and even just by making that mark, he buys his side maybe 45 seconds, takes a chunk off that clock. You just see the work of James Botham there, getting on the ball when Ollie Kebble was worrying about the secondary tackler on him. Did really well to strip it clear.
There's James Botham, grandson of Lord Botham.
Thank you.
Well, Ian Botham made his debut as a Test cricketer at the age of 21. Grandson James, now 22, having entered international rugby during the Autumn Nations Cup.
Line out over.
Cherry's got it. Just having the shirt pulled off his back a little. 6 minutes to go. Here comes Duan van der Merwe.
On the body, not the ball.
It's a possession game, I think, now for Scotland. Just try and keep a hold of this and force a disciplinary error or mistake defensively from Wales. 3 points, again, gives them the lead, and when the clock's ticking down, you know that you don't need the tries quite as much. You just need to dominate the scoreboard.
That's Chris Harris. That Wales defence at the moment not really being tested. That was taken in by Nell. Finn Russell just squeezing it through, but there was a Welsh hand that just slowed it down, and it was Talupi Faletau who gained possession.
No.
Into the final 5 minutes.
Just a suffocating Welsh defence, forcing Finn Russell into the kick, and again Wales getting a foot in the way of it, and this is just a possession game. Hardy's just going to line up the box kick, and from there Scotland have to try and generate quick ball. That's what they've struggled for in the past couple of minutes.
Well, there's no doubt that the ghost of Warren Gatland has been sitting over the shoulder of Wayne Pivac for more than 12 months now. And whatever shadow it casts, a win here could see him step out of it. It's so important, this, for Wales. That was Hugh Jones. Jones, one of the heroes here 3 years ago when they beat England in the Calcutta Cup.
Away, Red! Thank you.
Hamish Watson just trying to hold off Adam Beard.
Wales keeping their shape defensively really well.
Oh, bursting through his Hogg. Can Hogg? Oh, and he's fallen over his own feet in the end. He's popped it up. They've still got it. Out there from Kebble. Here's Chris Harris. Well, just for a moment, you thought that Stuart Hogg might be through. Here's Hamish Watson. Russell. What an end to the game this is. That's Hugh Jones. Here's Finn Russell again.
That looked a little bit high from Halaholo.
I tell you what, he was living dangerously, wasn't he?
Backed out.
There goes Johnny Gray.
Great carry.
Scotland trying to create some sort of momentum to put pressure on that Wales defence to maybe eke out that penalty. Inside the final 3 minutes. There goes the kick. Well, it's just given the ball away. Chance for Lewis Rees-Zammit to fire it back. And my word, that's an effective connection.
Outstanding decision-making from the youngster, less so from Ali Price. He throws his hands in the air, frustrated. There are some exhausted legs out there, and many coming into this game would have thought that Wales, off the back of a 6-day turnaround, would struggle. But as it is, they've been energised this second half. They got the first score, then the red card came. Now they're just trying to suck the life out of the clock. Ali Price kicked that one away, and Lewis Rees-Zammit has punished them with a 50-metre kick that ends up trickling into touch, and Scotland are going to have to do it with 2 minutes to go from 80 metres from the Wales line.
Well, Wales just 2 minutes away from earning 9 out of the possible first 10 points.
Yeah, 1. Sorry.
Well, Wyn Jones, one of the stars last week of that win against Ireland. Well, that man's had quite a game, hasn't he, Stuart Hogg? But Lewis Rees-Zammit,
thank you. Both sides.
With those 2 tries, and he is the Guinness Six Nations Player of the Match.
Well deserving. What an afternoon. We'll see just here that his most recent action, almost off the outside of his right boot there. But what he's just shown just how dangerous he is, how blindingly quick he is, how razor sharp he is when he has the opportunity.
Wales trying to make that defensive line impervious. There's Russell, oh, and it's been snapped up, and Tompkins can seal it here. 5 metres out, Wales. Scotland desperate to get possession. Well, Scotland have it, they get the penalty. It's not over yet.
Finn Russell's had to go back and cover up for his speculative intercept pass. Tompkins read it, he knew that it was coming, and he just drifted off and managed to get his hands on it. Finn Russell did really well to get back and recover and give his side probably one more opportunity. They'll be hoping for a couple more. The key is to get a good strike and get some front foot ball here. You just see the left-handed pass. Tompkins, Van der Merwe does really well to get back, and then Russell gets back in over the top of the ball, stays strong.
Wales, stay there now. Thank you. Stay.
Can Scotland do it? It's a 1-point game.
Cherry finds Gray of the Ritchie variety.
18, come out. 19, come out. Come out. Wales. Over.
Well, Will Rowland's been told to get out.
Use it.
Half a minute remain. Oh dear. Back goes Finn Russell. Callum Sheedy was all over him.
Step back, 18.
Well, it's a Herculean task from here.
It's going to take a miracle from here. Just the inaccuracy from the strike.
Hamish Watson. On goes Cherry. They're up to the 22.
Thank you.
The bad news for Scotland fans, it's their own 22. Hamish Watson.
Use it.
Johnny Gray to the fore again today. But you rather suspect now it's going to be in defeat. Finn Russell.
It's just all about patience for the Welsh defence now. Just hold their shape, don't overcommit, don't concede penalties. If it's not on to get over the top of the ball, just wait for a Scotland error, continue to build pressure. For Scotland, they need somebody to step up and cause some mayhem from nowhere. There's the man.
Duhan van der Merwe.
Okay, advantage.
Well, there is a penalty.
For a high tackle. Behind me here.
This
Carl.
is where I think they've just got to throw something. They know they've got the penalty advantage.
High tackle.
But for as long as Wales give away little penalties like that, Scotland can stay in this fight. Stuart Hogg or Finn Russell should be able to belt this one up somewhere around the halfway line, and from there it's a case of trying to execute a line out, build some field position, look after possession,
The line out.
and either try to break down the Welsh defence or wait for them to potentially concede something, a penalty.
When the line out's over, yeah. On the line.
It's Rowlands, yeah.
On the line.
That one was
Keep the
like shoulder
space.
to head,
Keep
although
the space.
Richie Gray was going to ground.
Well, Pascal Gauzer on this side, the assistant referee, indicating the line out just a metre or so in Scotland territory.
Some more. Line out's over.
That's David Cherry.
Still going forward. It's the same more. Same more.
Just need to make sure that the ball is at the back of that maul and available.
There it is, ball away.
Well, there it is. Cherry emerges with it.
It's off his feet. Let
Oh, he
it
got
go,
away with
let
that
it
little
go.
roll there.
Back there from Price. Hugh Jones. Russell snuffed out. That was Owen Watkin. An important tackle, and look at that. And away goes Duan van der Merwe. Oh, what a brilliant tap tackle.
Backwards by Red.
And he went backwards off a red hand, but all
Harrison,
Wales have to
Harrison.
do now is get that ball into touch.
Let it go. It's
Look
off
at the
his feet.
frustration there from Stuart Hoff, trying to plead with the referee, and Hardy pops it into touch, and that brings the whistle for the end of the match.
Game over.
What a dramatic conclusion. Scotland hearts sink, and once again a red card has had a fundamental impact on the outcome of a match. Wayne Pivac, well, Ireland last week, Scotland this. Is he finally stepping out of the shadow of Warren Gatland? Disappointment for Gregor Townsend, but what a result. 9 points out of a possible 10 for Wales. And how close was this? The final score at Murrayfield, Wales have beaten Scotland by 25 points to 24. Well, Rory, we've said in the past that great moments for Scotland have so often been false dawns. It's a single point, but I guess, and there's a lot to pick over at the end of this match, but I guess we've just seen another occasion.
Yeah, we certainly have. It's ultimately the game shifted significantly in that big moment, and it was the right call from Matt Carley, the red card for Xander Fagerson. Players have to be protected, but what an impact it has had on this game, and fair play to Wales. Resurgent, particularly